This is a HeadGum podcast.
Oh, hi.
Hey!
Lily, right?
Yeah. Steven?
Yes, hi. Okay.
Hi.
No, I recognize you from your profile picture, obviously, because you're wearing the same shirt.
Hello,
Not
yeah. Wait, am I wearing the same photo I'm wearing my profile photo? Oh my God.
No, that's like cool.
Embarrassing sauce.
No, it's like, no, it's on brand. Wait,
this place is awesome, by the
yeah.
way. I've been I read about it in Time Out, Chicago, and I really want to go here. My cousin, I read let's get drinks.
Yes. Okay. Cocktails are a must. I couldn't agree more. No, I read about this place in the Reader.
Awesome.
And,
I love the Reader.
Yeah, and they were like, they do this like thing with foam that's super cool, and I was like, okay, we're doing foam stuff now. Like,
yeah, no, seriously, it's always like, that sounds embarrassing, but then I want to try it, and then like I'm spending $15 on a foam color. Okay.
So, how many siblings do you have?
That's I have two? No, okay. I have one, but she just got married 2.5 years ago, and yeah, her husband is like basically my brother. They're so awesome together.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we're always like going to brunch and kickball and stuff like that. Anyway, but no, I'm like so happy for now. What about you? Really what about you?
I mean, as I said, I'm divorced.
Oh yeah, it's just totally cool. My aunt's divorced.
Who's that knocking at the door? It's all your friends, you filthy whore. Your husband's gone and we've got books and a bottle of wine to kill.
It's Hollywood.
It's books.
It's gossip.
I'm shook.
It's memoirs.
It's martinis.
It's Studio 54.
It's Fellini. Celebrity Book Club. Come read it while it's hot. Celebrity Book Club. Tell your secrets, we won't talk. Celebrity Book Club. No boys are allowed. Celebrity Book Club. Say it loud and proud. Celebrity Book Club. Buzz me in, I brought the Cuervo.
Hey, best friend. Happy day after Valentine's Day.
Happy day after Valentine's Day. Happy President's Day, which is kind of our Valentine's Day.
Huge day for Massachusettsers. I don't think it exists in other states. Or no, that's Patriots Day.
That's Patriots Day.
Sorry, back it up. No, every state has a president. Praise be to George.
Yeah, I'm Lily.
I'm Steven. This is obviously Celebrity Book Club.
Where we read books by celebrities.
We sort of discuss them. I do think it's really interesting that we're sort of reading this book.
Day after V-Day.
Yeah. How was your V-Day?
Well, the book we're reading, by the way, is Aziz Ansari, Modern Romance.
Right.
Just to kind of give that.
Just to provide context
just that
for the
super
listener.
Context.
Yeah.
Okay, not to brag, but I actually had like a pretty chill awesome Valentine's Day.
Cool.
Yeah. No, the day before totally sucked because I had to do my dad's taxes. So I was like, bleh.
Right.
And I had nothing planned for my girlfriend.
Ooh, brutal.
On
that you were
Saturday.
in the doghouse for that.
But then she totally surprised me and got me actually a podcast themed Valentine's Day present. She got me, and actually this book themed present, she got me like a milk bar, like so many treats from milk.
So many crack cookies.
So, like it was like crack cookies and like crack balls and like
donkey sauce.
And as I just found out, Aziz Ansari's ex-girlfriend was a pastry chef at Milk Bar.
Oh, she was at Milk Bar because he said she was a chef.
Yeah, I just looked that up.
So she was like under Toasty. She was like a Toasty.
A Toasty in like
apprentice.
Muse apprentice.
Muse?
Probably not a Muse.
Christine Toasty's fashioning cupcakes like in the shape of this like assistant sous chef.
Right, just be like,
this like
fuck,
random
I'm
brunette.
so inspired by you. Making brunette cookies. Anyway, so my girlfriend's usually so like Valentine's Day is so fucking corporate.
Right.
So I kind of...
Fuck Hallmark.
Yeah. Anyway, so I totally didn't really have anything planned. And then the Milk Bar thing came and I was like, fuck. So Sunday morning I made us couples massage appointment.
Okay. The couples massage to me is...
It's not erotic, I'll tell you that.
It's always been the most psychotic concept because, like, as you know, I love erotic massage and it's more about me and the masseuse. But even if you don't pursue eroticism in your massage, it's like, what is the benefit of being in the same room as your partner, like face down with like an elbow in your back? Like, how are you connecting with them in that moment?
It's a little more just about us like getting massages in the same room, like kind of like, so you're not in the room with like, it's more about helping out the massage place, kind of filling up the room, get more business. It's actually about supporting small businesses.
Wait, which is your girlfriend's kink?
Yeah.
And you were celebrating that?
Yeah. So we did the couples massage, and then we went out to dinner with her sister, listener of the pod.
Wow, you went out to dinner.
Outdoor. We did not. Distance.
Bubble. Tested during dinner.
Hudded outdoor, sanitized.
Okay, so let's
The book is completely insane. The fact that it's just a full college paper.
Wait, I wrote that. Or did you see my notes?
No. Here's the thing.
I literally wrote down, it's a college paper.
That's what I've been thinking the entire time reading this book.
Because the whole thing is just like quoting like a Business Week article being like, 14% of teens have received a sext. And it's like, thank you for the hot tip.
No, it's a very my mom.
No, I was thinking,
okay.
no, it's your mom like sharing a Newsweek article from 4 years ago being like, Lily, did you know that teens are engaging in hookup culture?
Hookup culture. It's like when parents started like finding an old issue of The Atlantic and it's like in every therapist's office, dentist's office, and they're like, oh my God.
The sort of like 6-month like Atlantic to parent pipeline of them learning about hooking up.
And then the parents are telling each other, they're finding the article. Yeah, it was a full college paper because it also, he's what, like Aziz is 39, do we think?
I mean, I feel like he's been 36 for the past 10 years.
Yes, he is the most 36-year-old person on earth.
Yeah.
I don't know if he went to college, but it feels like someone who is of that age, a little like Gen X millennium mid thing, who are just like, who are like, whoa, I think I'm actually gonna write a paper on the internet and it's gonna blow my fucking teacher's mind.
Yeah. Because like, sorry, I grew up with fucking VHS and everyone has a phone. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's fucking weird. Sorry, I used to make mixtapes. 90s kids, anyone? So this book also is like randomly not a memoir.
This sort of is breaking the structure of our show.
Right, and that's the thing. We make the rules so we can break them.
Hell yes, but you have to learn the rules in order to break them. And you have to study under the best chefs at Le Cordon Bleu.
That's why at art school I had to kind of like learn painting before I decided I wanted to like take performance art video conceptual pass-fail classes.
But you passed.
Which I absolutely passed.
Except for your natural disasters class.
No, I passed that with just an inch of my life.
You finally turned in that paper on volcanoes.
Yeah.
So this book is mostly him talking about like modern dating and like the trials and tribulations of being basically a millennial.
Total millennial who like maybe just like the internet started, like they got a Facebook and then all of a sudden like Match.com and like Friendster happened and then Tinder.
And like, how do we fucking navigate this weird world? So at the same time that like, yes, every observation in this book is like mind-blowingly obvious and like doesn't really need to be backed up by like a Harvard scientist because like every page he's just being like, so then I talked to this social science researcher at the University of Duluth and she said that 63% of married women have considered an affair. And it's like, okay, yeah, same.
What also makes it so college paper is it's clearly like guy who goes to college and takes one class on like feminism and like learns that just like women like actually were forced into marriage because like of the fucking patriarchy and like were traded for goats. And he's like, whoa, this is actually so fucked up. Like marriage is actually a money contract. Did you guys know that? This also made me think of, so he's like talking about like the history of like online dating and was like how Match.com was the first and how it was like so revolutionary when my mom opened her Match.com account after my parents' divorce. And it was like, that was really kind of my first lesson in online dating, where I remember we like took the photos on like our balcony and like made her profile. And it's like, and you saw that every single guy was just like hiking, canoeing.
Yeah. The adventure.
The adventure, which is what he says. All guys get more likes if they say adventure.
I mean, so we talked about like profile effectiveness. So I actually just went through this. So I just recently changed my photos on Grindr and Scruff.
Oh.
As folks know, I am in an open relationship, and like that's actually totally cool for me to be on the apps.
Fuck yeah.
And they've actually become insanely puritanical, and like they won't even let you upload a photo in underwear, which is insane because it's like this is a sex app, and like Scruff will be like, "Sorry, you're actually showing crotch," and like they have a notification that says like crotch alert, where it's like your profile was not approved. So I've been like trying to just like switch it up to like get some more action.
What happens when you send a dick pic though?
Oh, you can send as many dick pics as you want.
But profile photo,
they're being like, you need to just be like, so everyone has the like same. I mean, okay, so like Grindr is like terrifying and like it's all just blurry chests and like everyone's on meth. And then Scruff is like people are a little bit more like real fucking humans. But they're also like all just partnered, like open relationship, like people looking to play, and then have like 18 paragraphs about what they're looking for.
So would you change what was your before profile photo, and then what did you change it to?
So my before was just like this sort of like bedroom selfie where I'm kind of like, I just like thought it was a good photo of me, and it's like kind of a close up of my face. And then I changed it to be more of a like full body, like nude
In
chest.
underwear?
In underwear, and I had to like go through this fucking like crop dance where I like kept cropping it, and they were like still not acceptable until I'm basically only showing like the very top of the waistband because they were like, okay, it could be.
Even just showing the Calvin Klein.
No, like that was like not allowed. Even though people are in their fucking like slutty ass Baragon like thong bathing suits, and it's like that's allowed because it's like evoking swimming instead of evoking like getting dressed. And it's like, okay, I don't know if that's so much less
how dare we
sexual.
priv swimming?
Right.
I mean, the idea of also the swimsuit is the craziest thing. Like how like at camp, like you're so embarrassed to like change in front of someone, but then like we're in swimsuits showing more off. It's kind of like random that like why are swimsuits like normal and then like it's embarrassing
let's, like,
to
actually call out swim culture and like what makes it okay to be in the swimming scenario,
in the
right?
swimwear,
right? And you're at the pool, you're at the beach. I mean, as
someone sees you in your
right.
bra, you're like, oh my God.
Well, I mean, of course, this brings me back to Germany, like many things do, where people just sunbathe nude in a park, and it's completely acceptable because nudity is not so sexualized in their culture.
Growing up, I had a Holocaust survivor mathematician neighbor named Raoul. He invented a number. Raoul. He was Hungarian.
Okay.
And my parents were like, Raoul invented a number. Him and his wife also go to a nude beach in Martha's Vineyard. And this man like looked like a Hungarian Santa. And I was shook. And I was like, oh, and that kind of breaks the mold. And when you realize you're like, oh, it's not only like just like hot six-packed people, like big Santa-looking men do go, and that's that European culture. And, you know, I never saw my father hardly in shorts, you know. He was at the beach in a suit.
Did you ever see your father's dick?
Yes, I remember I asked him to see it.
Sorry, my actually jaw just hit the floor. What?
Yeah, but I was like, you want to know what like the pieces are, but yeah, no.
You usually ask like a neighbor that you play, you know, that you like play with, like.
No, and this is.
I mean, that is actually so brave, and I do feel it's like Freudian or something.
Yeah,
like,
I think I was like, can I see
it's like,
your penis?
That is the desire of all children is like the father's penis, like the father's phallus or whatever is like how we like separate ourselves and become an individual or something.
Yes, dating someone who majored in analysis.
And it's like, so if you, it's like, that's kind of like the unspoken desire we all have. And the fact that you were able to voice that like frees you from being like imprisoned by that desire.
Well, and also
you know
my mom was always just walking around the house like fully nude. So it's kind of like, well, we need.
Was she being so 70s Bush?
Yeah, she's so 70s. Well, and of course, looking back, I feel bad because I was so embarrassed by her when we go to the pool. I'd be like, oh, Mom, like, can you please shave your bikini line?
Oh, because it was so
like out of the Speedo. And then it's like, but I feel like was probably just like unloading like the total health cereal nude. And then I'm like, well, my dad is fully clothed. What's the deal? So I think, I feel like I was around 4.
She was unloading groceries?
No, it wasn't that extreme, but I feel like she was, you know, a much more nude presence in the house. Right. And then my dad was so close. So I asked to see the penis. But I remember in preschool, because I was so always hanging with the boys and like thought I was a boy, and, you know, we were in a circle. It wasn't a circle jerk, but everyone was like, show us.
It was a circle show.
It was a circle show. And all the boys like brought out their dicks. And I didn't currently have a fake one
and
to
you were
show.
Just like, interesting. You weren't packing that day.
Yeah, I was not packing in my Oshkosh.
I mean, that's coming down the pipe, sweetheart. I'm sure that like direct-to-consumer like Hormones brand Folks is going to be releasing like just packing for toddlers.
And it's like, awesome dinosaur packers. Lots of tacos and burritos and pizzas.
The Frozen brand.
Oh my God, Elsa.
Okay. I do. So one thing that he talks a lot about in this book is texting, which is really fascinating.
Which is so crazy because we text all the time and
I'm obsessed with it. And actually 92% of Americans have sent a text within the past week.
No, and I was totally relating from when I was online dating. Because, okay, I do feel like you are have much more experience on the sex and the dating apps over a time period, but I've done actually more like trying to date someone on the app.
Well, okay, so that's like, I think one of the interesting central premises of this book. And like one sort of note I had to myself was like, to me, like trying to date someone through an app is just like horrifying. I would never do it. And it's like all of my relationships that have involved like the internet in some capacity, it's like, I either think that you should like use social media or an app to further a relationship that you had in IRL, or like vice versa. You think someone's hot online and then you like run into them in real life or something. But like, to me, the idea of just like straight up cold using Tinder to meet someone you've never heard of and then like intend on starting a long-term relationship from that process to me is psycho.
Well, many do. Okay, but
no, I know that people do it, but I also think like I don't know.
Well,
I just
think
like
this, can I say?
I find it so aromantic.
I think it's weirder for gay men to like be so like earnestly starting a relationship on Tinder. I do think that's weird. I think it's like for straight people and
no, I know, and I do think the white
in,
picket cosplay that like gays do when they're being so Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, it's so Pete Buttigieg to be on Tinder, where it's just like, well, straight people like have to
because they're
do that.
Well, because they feel, you know, clammed in by societal mores and they like have to do it's like, you know, part of the fun of being gay is like we don't necessarily have to like comport to those expectations.
Exactly.
So it's just like, must we? Heteronormativity, put it in the trash can, thank you, 2018.
But for example, when I got out of my insanely long-term relation in my 20s,
you went on Tinder, but you were trying to. I feel like you were using Tinder.
No, but I was using
casually.
I was, but still with like chicks, you
Right.
do have to go through like a dating. You can't. Even though when I had casual things, we had drinks before.
And as we've discussed, it's just like society has not yet figured out for like a way for women to have casual sex, like whether it's lesbians or it's straight women. Like you've always said, like I wish there was a lesbian sauna culture,
but there's not, because like that would be so weird if I was in a sauna and just like reached over and started fingering a woman, like to bring it back to kind of.
But it's like, why would that be weird?
Can't? Yeah, no,
why would that be weird?
And I'm sure like there is, and I haven't heard of it, and like I'm sure there is some like iconic 80s bathhouse that I haven't heard of where there was
the extent to which there isn't.
And I think texting each other on Tinder, then like the immediately going over to each other's house is much more rare. I mean, granted, obviously with straight people, because you're like, is he going to murder me?
But they go to a bar. I mean, people, and I know that all straight people are using Tinder to hook up now, and they like meet up at a bar or whatever.
Right.
Or like our friend who recently had a FaceTime date.
Zoom date, yeah.
Zoom date over from a girl he met on Tinder, and then he went to her house and they like ordered takeout and had sex.
Which makes sense because you're like, well, I don't want to like fully go over to your house or like have such a hudded drink if I'm not going to really
I get it. I need narrative. You know I'm a narrative girl. It's like I always need to have some connection. And it's like, even if it's like a random thing, it's like when I think about like, you know, that Portuguese couple I had a threesome with when I was at Primavera in Porto like a couple of years ago. It's like I was hanging out with them. Yes, I was like on ecstasy and it was like 3 a.m. and I was like, but I was like, part of the reason I was hanging out with them is because I thought they were like friends with one of my like friends, which was also just someone I met that night. They weren't even. I was like mistaken and like didn't find out till like 7 a.m. that they were completely random. But like in my head, there was a connection and I was like, that makes that special. And then we did kind of date for 2 days, but we ended up moving on.
Celebrity Book Club.
Okay, well, this is a subject we can talk about how we fight with our partners. I think it's so disgusting the way, so when he starts dating this milk bar chef, so disgusting the way he checks in with his girlfriend. I want to read this passage of a text transcript he gives us.
His texts literally just make my skin crawl.
So they're like at a hotel and he has some show and she goes, see you at a comedy club? And he goes, is that a grump text or not? Sent at 7:01. Note the time gap here as well. Then at 7:17, she sends, not a grump text at all. I'm just resting at the hotel, been walking around all day and don't feel like leaving. And then he says, okay, just check in, embarrassed face. I guess I hate the way grump text.
I mean, the word disgusting. Grump text is so disgusting.
It's like, babes, are you grumps?
Yeah, babes, are you grumps? Like babe pants. I mean, so this is part of like
pants.
nerdy, like sort of greater Brooklyn, greater comedy, greater UCB
Greater
nerd male
LA.
culture, which is like putting the word pants at the end of words, saying the word boner, which he does all the time. He's like, yeah, I don't know. And sometimes the girl you want to like fall in love with is the girl who makes you get a boner every time you touch her hair. It's like, oh, yep, whoops, just got another boner. Also saying,
Right, it's like Hey Arnold culture.
It's post Hey Arnold culture. It's like this like whatever 90s nostalgia, very
Yeah, it's 90s stuff. It's like,
and yeah, okay, I do want to call myself in, though, about saying the word grump text. It's like, yes, that's gross. However, sometimes, like, in a relationship, you say disgusting things to your lover in, like, a cutesy way because that's the relationship. And, like, I do, like, call my boyfriend, like, Pooh Bear. And, like, that's...
you do say Pooh Bear.
No, and, like, that's... I get that that's foul, and it's, like, this thing that starts ironically, and then it's like, but now you're saying it, and now it's real.
Well, it's kind of like how I feel like I started saying nummy. Ironically, and my girlfriend is always like, ew, please don't say nummy. And I'm just like, this ramen's nummy.
I mean, you have to build up a license to say that. It's like, okay, if you start out saying nummy on the first date, like you back away.
Here's why it's like not gross, and I'm not grossed out when I hear you say
oh, wait,
Pooh
I
Bear,
have a story about this.
is because like you have like the sharpest tongue, as in like you can be like absolutely cruel and a bitch. So it's just like, it's then, it's nice for you to be like, hey, Pooh
Right,
Bear.
a little sweet. And you're like, oh my God, Steven's not just like an absolute monster. Like Maleficent has left the room for 2 seconds.
Flap, flap. This also makes me think of, and I feel like this is so Izzy's culture, one of the first times I really experienced the like disgustingness of like gaslighting sensitive straight men, because we're just like not around them a lot. That is like Aziz. I was cleaning a house because I am a maid, and this woman's house was disgusting, and she was like our age but rich and lived in the Upper West Side, and just like her apartment was like so gross, and she was like, so just like my apartment's a mess, just like throw out everything. So I'm cleaning the couch, and it was like a joke of a breakup couch, like that would be in a Parks and Rec episode about like Amy Poehler. I pull out a bottle of wine from the couch. I pull out like Reese's. I pull out a remote, and then I pull out a letter. And it's
oh my God! Wait! Oh yes!
She printed out an email that he sent to her, and she made annotations, red marker in the email of like what she would say back, whether she was doing that so she could get it out or to just like then, use that notes to make her email.
Right.
So he basically for an entire page is explaining that he doesn't want to fuck her anymore. Instead of just being like, look, this is not working out, he actually like goes into brutal detail, and he probably thinks he's being more sensitive, but it's horrible. He's like, for example, like my father's an alcoholic, and so like I'm processing that right now, and like I don't want to kind of like have you be affected by that. Also, like, what if we go to a museum together? Like, I don't want to have the pressure of having to fuck you after. Like, I want to just be able to go home. So then he gives paragraph and paragraph, basically just like why he doesn't want to fuck her. And at the end, he goes,
it's like if you don't want to fuck someone after a museum, it's just like, oh God, it's like, oh God,
you don't need to give her more paragraphs.
No, I know, it's just like
like
cruel.
And then the worst part at the end, he goes, but I just want to let you know you're awesome sauce, just like a hollandaise. To call someone awesome sauce after 6 paragraphs of telling them you don't want to fuck them after like a Natch History Museum.
I literally it gives me shivers. I mean, this is how street people talk to each other.
Yeah.
It is violence.
It's
I do get why, the trauma of heterosexuality is something that like, there is no roadmap to. And like, it is like, and it goes undiagnosed.
Don't you think there is a roadmap?
Oh, but not that specific, like the idea of like the sauce and the pants and the PMB.
Yeah.
And
I think
how
their new
awful that language
roadmap is Aziz. He was probably just like, I'm actually being like such an awesome
but that's what
guy.
insane. It's like Aziz would say like, that's a good letter.
He'd be like, fuck yeah, dude, get out all your feelings. And she was like, red marker, crossing out paragraphs.
Because it's really fucking cool to be honest.
Yeah, just like pointing out arrows, lies.
So psychotic.
I would just want to do a few bullet points of just like me being annoyed at Aziz in this book.
Please.
Okay, also a few moments I did lol because like I did like Master of None, and just like, here's the thing.
Never watched it. I did audition to play someone on a golf course or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't get the part.
Because it just like, I don't know. Yeah, it is funny. Just like Can, Lena Waithe, and just like the Eric from Tim and Eric. And you're like, this is a silly friend group. And like, having the butch best friend, that's rare to see. So that was cool for me to see, you know, the butch best friend giving her gay seeming straight guy love advice. Right. As much as like we roast, I feel like Aziz for being so like tacos at the same time, like all of his.
No, we're not that. We are part of this culture. We're not that far away. Like we live in cities. We go to brunch. Like I got it.
Right. He was just being like, oh, like I spent 3 hours looking for like where to eat in Seattle, and like by the time like I found a place I wanted to go to, I had to perform, and I'm just like, we are that.
That's literally all we do.
So,
I mean, there's part of the book where he's just texting Chelsea Peretti and Nick Kroll, being like, where are we going to go for brunch? And then he's like, and then they ended up going to a diner, and I wanted to go to like a fancier brunch place. And
yeah, that was insane when he was like, I didn't want to go to that diner, so I just stayed home to text other friends about dinner plans. I was like, you were actually diseased.
No, but I mean, diseased. I'm sorry, anyone. No, but I do feel like I kind of identify with him in that moment because I was just like, okay, like sometimes I am the diner friend, but sometimes when your friends are being so diner, you're like, no, I kind of like had this idea that I wanted to go to like Mogador in my head, and it's like,
you are that, and then you're like,
my like expensive Israeli brunch, then like I don't want.
And then you're like, actually, I'm not going to eat, and I'm going to like go with my boyfriend to the super expensive restaurant.
Yeah, we're going to have just like a weirdly
brunch.
silent, expensive brunch.
Okay, when this whole thing, when he like fights with his girlfriend and like he surprises her and she gets mad at him because she saw a photo of him using a Polaroid, and she's like, you didn't call me because you were like Instagramming you at the Polaroid, and then Valentine's Day is a week later and he gives her the Polaroid that he was using in this photo.
And it's like supposed to be an apology, or it's supposed to be like a reveal that he was doing it as a surprise?
It's supposed to be like a reveal that he's doing a surprise, and then it was like his fuck you. And he's like, I never felt fucking better because like she made me feel so bad for not calling her back. And actually the reason why I wasn't calling her back is because I was fixing a Polaroid, vintage Polaroid that I got her.
Oh, okay, loser. I'm just like, again, this is this thing where I'm just like, I don't know, like, can straight people, can you guys just like talk to each other? Like, is it that hard?
Well, and I think to our point where we're always saying how they don't know each other is I think Aziz thinks he's not that. I think he does think like they're talking. He's like, and then I gave her Stevie Wonder, like her favorite Stevie Wonder album on vinyl. And then, okay, well, there is this part in Modern Love, whatever the fuck it's called, where he takes this girl
Master of None,
where he takes this girl to Nashville and they go to this amazing restaurant and they have like an iconic white barbecue sauce and he really wants to buy it. I really related with this. And then he doesn't because he's unsure about it. And then he makes them late and miss their flight because he goes and gets the sauce in the airport.
That's very you. I mean, as we were saying over ski weekend at that great observation that our friend made, lesbians will go to a microbrewery and get 2 beers, then drop $180 on merch. And it's just like, you're always immediately being like, where is the merch?
Where's the merch station?
I need the sauce. I need the t-shirt. I need the trucker hat.
Koozie. Well, and all of my girlfriends' anxiety dreams are usually about me making us miss a flight. Mind you, we have never missed a flight.
Wow.
But I think she sees me as this kind of crazy daredevil, get to the airport hour 15 before.
Right. Well, you're an expander. She's a container.
And she's like an up-in-the-air businesswoman traveler who's just like, I'm getting there exactly an hour and 45. Like, I'm pre-check, whatever.
Yeah. And she's so global TSA.
And all of her dreams are just like, we're going to China and you had to like go to a store or something first. We missed the flight.
Of course you're going to China in her dream. Yeah, I mean, that's so interesting that she kind of like absorbs all of that of like your kind of messiness and like puts it in her psyche.
And puts it in an airport.
Yeah. I feel like my boyfriend has like never had a dream about me being messy. He's like, that's sort of your problem.
Really? Does he have dreams about you?
I don't know. I mean, he's so analysis, so I feel like his dreams are really like content for analysis and like doesn't really share them with me because it's like when you're in analysis twice a week, like what do you do but talk about dreams?
Those
so
are
like,
his.
You've got to sort of keep that fresh for the analyst.
And to quote my mother again, everyone falls in love with their analyst.
Oh, I know that he's in love with it. His analyst is like this guy named like Alvaro, who's like a gay, like Latin, like sexy. I'm just like, okay, obviously you're in love with him, but that's fine. That's totally fine.
No, literally fine.
Okay, I just wanted to
talk about when he talks about cheating in the book and like being poly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know my feelings on poly, and like even though I am poly, I think it's disgusting, and I think like having a Google schedule for
you're
like
in an open relationship, I wouldn't really qualify you as like traditional poly, where you're not having like full.
No, and I'm not like seeking.
relationships.
My whole thing is this, like, I think we're both from Boston, and it's like we're Catholic culturally, and it's just like I think it's hotter to have an affair and like
be so
keep secrets
Catholic.
and like have some mystery rather than like get permission to go on a date with someone from your SO. Like that's so fucking
Wait,
weird.
speaking of us being from Boston and me going to college in Chicago, he has this quote in the book where he's talking about like small towns and how you don't meet anyone and like the internet. There's this whole thing of like there's always something better out there. And he's like, if you live in a walking city like Boston or Chicago, there's always something hot around the corner. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, there's not.
Then it's like rainy, just like slamming hot biddies in Boston.
And Chicago, you're like, fuck it. I mean, I guess in my taste, maybe it is, but I'm like, I don't think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In your
I mean,
taste.
I take a turn on Mass Ave, bam, hottie.
No.
You take a turn on the Magnificent Mile in Chicago.
No, I mean, for me, it's like, okay, do I need to see 1,000 Buddha judges? Like, no, it's
I
not
guess for
really
me,
good.
yeah. So for you, I think most people would agree that they're like, oh, those are gross cities. And for me, I'm like, oh, I'm seeing like a 5'4", like Midwestern blonde girl. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck yeah. So
Wrap it up. Hey, can I get this to go? Okay, but what I wanted to ask about cheating sort of brings up this interesting concept. I guess we're kind of covering poly, like, do you cheat? Whatever. I'm pro cheating, as you know. But he does say never read the text, never check the phone, never check the Gmail. It's completely toxic. And I do agree with that because I guess I was going to ask you, have you ever checked?
I've checked texts in the very end of my relation.
Oh, and you didn't like what you saw?
Well, no. I mean, I remember I saw a Facebook message, but that was after we were broken up, still living together. That didn't like what I saw.
I remember every time I've done it, I've regretted it. And I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm really strong.
Also, I feel like checking Gmail, like I also never have anything.
Well, one
personal
time
in
I
my
checked Gmail.
Gchat, I feel like used to be such a thing. and you
Gchat
could-
was a thing, and
Yeah.
that's why. So I remember I checked Gchat of my second boyfriend. And after we broke up the first time, and I like was in his Gmail, and I found a Gchat where he said that I was like he called me 90s, which was kind of
Epic.
a epic read of me.
Yes.
And he was like, I have a crush on the guy who's the 90s. I was like, read the full history, and then later I found out him being like, yeah, I think he wants to date, but I'm not into it.
Oh,
I know, isn't that so rude?
wow. So you're like 90s, check, awesome sauce.
Yeah.
And then
I
we're
was
like, I think
oh,
he
he's
wants
literally not
like a
into
full
me.
relation. I don't want to.
But then then I remember another time, third, whatever.
Everyone is going on read this episode.
Misread. He checked my Facebook messages. I was going to France to visit a friend who I did have a crush on, and I said in French, "Je suis libre," which I meant like I'm unemployed. But he read it as like I'm free, as in I'm single. So he fully babble-fished an incorrect read and then was like, oh my God, Steven's cheating on me in France.
Oh, God. Well, that's in this book, he talks about how, like, some girl had an insane ski accident and her boyfriend was in the ambulance with her. And he looked at her phone because he was calling her parents, quote unquote, and saw her Snapchat and opened up the Snapchat and saw that there were all these messages from a guy. And then he was literally simmering with jealousy for 8 months until he met this guy at a party and the guy was just her gay.
Wow.
And it's like, so for 8 months, you were just like, who
Well,
the fuck? I mean, it was
But
probably in the
actually,
back
though,
of his mind.
It was in the back of his mind, and it's better that he didn't confront.
Right, 'cause
I
then
think-
she would have been, like,
because then you look
sketchy.
insane. You look
No,
completely insane if you confront.
I'm absolutely of the, just don't check.
Sometimes the world leads you to a direction that you have to go in.
No. All of it, everyone says don't check, but, things happen.
The thing is, because you don't know, okay, finding out that they've cheated maybe is important information, but like when they say something like kind of like cutting about you, like that can really fuck up your self-esteem.
Well, I feel like that's work because it's like everyone just kind of says random stuff to
talk
their
shit,
friend.
yeah.
And so you need to, give that space.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't check.
So, hey, listeners, don't check.
Literally put it down. But also don't lock your phone. I think that's weird and sus.
Yeah, I don't have a code on my. No, I guess now I do.
But I do have some people on like the little moon icon. So like my boyfriend won't see the text for them.
Ooh, interesting.
So I am
So you're sus.
completely sus.
But it's kind of this fakery of okay, just to Aziz, kind of one more thing about him
Please.
is that like what's also again so fucking like school paper about this is he brings up Dan Savage by like page 250, and it's kind of like,
I know. It's like
we don't need this book because he is like, you're kind of quoting Dan Savage here, who's like the king of like sex and relationships.
The book winds its way to Dan Savage, and basically the conclusion he makes is like the basically like the Dan Savage perspective on love is like the correct one, and like that's also what's so kind of 2014 about this book is it's just kind of like, oh, his like monogamish kind of like healthy attitude towards
like be honest,
human behavior and desire, but like being honest and open, like with a little bit of mystery is like basically the right answer. And it's just like, yeah, people have been talking about this and already arrived at this conclusion.
Dan Savage has a podcast and books,
and like it took you 200 pages to like bring up Dan Savage and be like, actually, there's this sort of interesting theory that like maybe you are committed and like you do realize that like passion will go down.
Oh,
over
yeah,
the
and he's
like,
and then he pulls up another graph. Oh, and I mean, and also full thesis. He goes, and then in conclusion of this book, and you're like, okay, the school papery,
the thesis boots.
What also I was annoyed at is like he references like, and this is again like I feel like why he's so canceled because he hardly talks about himself in this book. Only towards he'll like reference little things throughout and make
he's canceled because this book isn't really a memoir.
No. I mean like he's canceled because he's like afraid to talk about his dating life like in true form
because he knows it's actually totally toxic.
And he'll just make little jokes where he's like, or this person like has a pit bull themed bedroom. And it's just like a weird joke, and he inserts a rap star, and you're just like,
yeah. I mean, a lot of his jokes are kind of like McSweeney's in that way, where it's very just like, what if I like read like a rap lyric in a kind of academic way?
Right. It is just like, rap is ridiculous, and it's especially ridiculous out of context. So right at the end, then basically it's only 2 pages. He talks about just like how he went to bars and like jerked off too much, and it was exhausting.
I will say, I think what this book lacks is like a sense of joy about being single, which I think is actually kind of sad because...
Well, he says he loves it, but like looking back on it,
but he basically has this very fucking heteronormative like view that's just kind of like the goal of everything is like find a mate. And it's like, sure, being in a relationship is wonderful, but it's like being single is just as wonderful. And it's like, that's why one reason I love the film How to Be Single with
Rebel Wilson
and what's her name from
Anna
50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, Dakota Johnson.
Yeah. And it's like, that movie's actually so fun and sweet, and it like shows the contrast, and it's like, yeah, being single is really, and you should enjoy being single as much as possible because it'll be over in a second and then you'll be in a relationship. So just like really try to like...
Well, I think that's what he was trying to say, that he was enjoying it so much and then he got like sad going to comedian barbecues.
But he has this moralizing puritanicalness to him where he's just like, it's actually like, ultimately it's like really sad. It's a downward spiral because like you're getting drunk and you're not remembering names and just like...
It's because he's on his high horse with his like Tosi muse and that clearly didn't work. And like now he is single. I think it's just like, because he is such a like comedian short playboy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like self-loathing and is just like, I do want like a girl to go to pop-ups with. And that's why he's like so upset and is like so angry at himself.
It's just sad that it's like, you know, you can't find... Like being single is all about like finding like different experiences, like not just going to pop-ups and food trucks and museums. It's like being single is about like meeting the guy on the beach. It's about just like having a work thing that develops into something. It's about just like a DM that turns into a cruise. It's like, you know.
Yeah, but again, you're like gay, so no. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like he's a straight guy, so it's like being single is just like going on Tinder dates with, and that's what
But I'm saying that straight people can do different things.
But that's why for him, the joy of being single is going to food pop-ups. And museums.
I just think that's so sad.
I want to go. Sorry, I want to go to pop-ups and like random.
I don't want to be covered in like lobster juice like every time. I'm like,
well, that's why you're not Aziz.
No, I know.
And clearly he has a lot of demons. Well, also his parents have an arranged marriage, and clearly he's like, oh, they have this companionate love, which he keeps on referring to. He's like clearly jealous of his parents' like arranged marriage and how they like do have like Love.
Can I just read a section that's so fucking Bloomberg Business Week? And it's like,
yeah.
who the fuck asked? Since 2010, the Japanese state has paid parents a monthly allowance of between $100 and $150 per child to take some of the financial burden out of child raising. But before you can have a kid, you need to find someone to live and marry, right? Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe allocated $25 million in the 2014 fiscal budget for programs designed to get people to pair off and have babies, including government-funded dating services. An official survey conducted in 2010 showed that 66% of all prefecture governments and 33% of city, ward, town, village governments were implementing some sort of marriage support. Even more so today. It's like, what?
This literally reminds me.
You're actually trying to take up. You're so double spaced right now.
This is why it's like he's so afraid to say like he wants a blowjob that he takes up an entire book giving us statistics about the Japanese government.
Preach, literally.
Like I can read that Atlantic article.
The quiet part loud. Read between the lines, bitch, of this college paper. It's just
it's
like
a #1 New York Times bestseller.
just say you want a blowjob. You know,
Yeah.
say you want to see your dad's dick.
Say you want
Voice
to
your
put,
desire.
to put your P in V, then go to a pop-up.
Hell yes.
Burmese tacos.
Oh, I wanted to talk about Tenga, but I guess we don't have to.
Oh, wait, I really want to talk about that because, to reference my ex-girlfriend again, do you remember when...
Well, I got a Tenga from some activation we went to.
No.
And it was this Keith Haring Tenga.
No. That was left at her restaurant. Someone left a box.
Whose restaurant?
Barb's.
Wow,
At
I imagined an activation.
No, that was it. Someone left at the restaurant she worked at like a box of Keith Haring fleshlights, and like she brought them home, and then you used them.
Can I just say, and it was like the ridges on the fleshlight were like the shape of Keith Haring like drawings.
This is a West Village tapas restaurant.
The estate of Keith Haring literally just says yes to anything.
Yeah, they're like, sure, but and it was like a chic, a box. It was like 7 fleshlights in the box.
Fleshlights, like I'm sure if just like to speak of Burma, like the Burmese junta was like, can we just like put your design on like a Kalashnikov? They'd be like, absolutely, go for it.
Let's do it. License it out.
But
so you used it.
I did. I jacked off into this egg, and
how was?
It was just like, this is slimy. I mean, I'm not such a lube person. Like when guys come over to fuck me, they're always like, "Do you have lube?" And I'm like, "No." I just like
really.
It's weird. It's like it's unnatural. I don't use deodorant. I don't use lube. Hell yes.
I have a lot of lube in my house, but.
Using
unnatural
in every room.
No, just one room. I mean, there's a lot of with toys, so you need to
room.
yeah.
I mean, it's not. I'm not saying that like my pussy is so.
Yes, it's so soaking wet.
No, it's
all
not
the
soaking
time.
wet. I do salivate a lot, and so I have a lot of saliva, and like I can just like use that, and I prefer that.
I mean, I use saliva sometimes too. I guess with like a
I'm
dildo.
I'm a frothy fanny. You know what I mean?
Need
frothy
a lube.
Frederica?
Frothy Frederica. Disgusting.
Okay, that was the first F female name I could think of.
I mean, I love that. I mean, that's a good Drag Race name.
Frothy Frederica. I'm sorry, my dear. You're up for elimination. Okay.
Aziz also agrees with you. He did not like the fleshlights.
Yeah.
You're like...
I do think that getting topped by an object is fine. Like, I get off on, like, sucking a dildo or, like, obviously, like, getting fucked by a dildo. Like, I can, like, imagine that in my mind. But, like, to top an object, so to fuck the Tenga, to me, there's no fun in that. Because, like, it's like... Topping is about like domination and power, so it's hot to like dominate a person, but it's not. I'm dominating this little egg. It's not like really. I'm just like, damn, yeah, take it, egg.
Well, especially when it's a Keith Haring licensed egg.
It's not really doing anything like in the erotic. Whereas like, bottoming for an object is even more humiliating because you're like, oh, I'm literally less than this object, and so it kind of works in that.
That's in kind of
in the fantasy sense.
Way. Yeah. American Pie stuff.
No, I'm.
I guess American Pie.
The opposite of American Pie is what I think.
But I think American Pie, I mean, is probably still hotter than the Keith Haring fleshlight.
Well, yeah, also because the heat of the pie.
The heat of the pie. It's more.
And it's also illicit because it's like the mom made the pie or whatever. And you're not supposed to use the pie.
All right, I think it's time for segments.
Oh, yes. Segment tacos. What does she eat? What does he wear? How does he live?
What does he eat? I mean, as we covered, just like literally, like he spent a year of his life going to like Moderne Italy to like learn how to make ravioli with
he's the most time out food truck person.
Yeah,
he's a foodie. Just like us. He loves sliders. He loves bows.
He loves bows turned into pasta.
New pop-ups. Pop-ups at hot restaurants.
He's best friends with our friend of the pod, David Chang.
Yeah. Friend of the pod is not just anyone whose book we read.
Yeah, just,
Chasten Buttigieg, friend of the pod.
yeah, he's like in a way the opposite of Chasten.
Yeah, Chasten. No, he's not going to Chipotle.
No, he's just like, oh, dude, hold on. I have actually a list of like my best favorite Jackson Heights, like doll taco.
Like any city that he goes and like does stand up in.
He's researching it
He's
for
getting
like 3
so many
days.
racks.
Yes.
He's doing like 10 minutes on stage about like what the restaurants are. He's like, so I went to this fucking brunch place. Hey, do you guys know it?
And then people are coming on stage and saying their favorite brunch place.
Yeah, it's brunch culture. And, you know, so is Peretti. I mean, their squad is very brunch culture,
Yeah.
and so are we.
No, I feel like I haven't got, I mean, obviously, but even pre-pandemic.
And he's so takeout and he's so Postmates, and it's like, I don't think he's cooking.
I don't think no, babe. He literally went to that insane Michelin star.
That was like for a TV show.
Yeah, but he's like making a crate. He's like with his girlfriend. They're cooking at home. She's a pastry chef. He's absolutely rolling out pasta. He's buying himself a dumpling steamer. He's takeout because he's on tour. But when he is at home, he is absolutely making a short rib fucking ragu.
I guess I just thought that I feel like everyone in LA is so Postmates, and they're just like Postmating like ice cream at 2 a.m. and they're Postmating iced coffee, and they're like.
But when he is cooking, he is doing like a full on like hand pulled noodles.
Yeah.
Zilong bao, like
right. He's not doing like a sandwich at home.
No, he's either getting the most epic sandwich.
There's no cold cuts in that fridge.
Right. Or going to make the most epic 2-day long food. How does he live? I feel like he's the most like everything is mid-century.
Yeah.
There's like not one thing that
it's
isn't.
all new mid-century. It's completely new mid-century. It's a very like selling Sunset house, but that's going for 1.1. You know what I mean? It's like a 2-bedroom in Hidden Hills.
2-bedroom. I mean, maybe the credenza is vintage, but it's like in mint condition and super expensive, and it is from 1968, and it has a built-in record player.
Yes, absolutely. Because he thinks that's fucking pimp.
And ultimately, you know,
it is.
It is. I think Aziz like does have a lower end vinyl player. Like Crossley, that brand, which I used to have. Like, I feel like
okay, wait.
He is buying a more basic retro
You know what I
looking
think he
record
has?
player.
I think that also though, like someone got him as a gift this thing I saw on Shark Tank once that's like that can play a record without a record player. It's like this little car that goes on vinyl.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Episode,
And it like Bluetooth. I mean, like the Bluetooth in that house is out of control. Everything is Bluetoothing to each other.
Yeah, and I think he's like when he was in Japan, he probably did get a super expensive record.
Yeah.
But he's mostly buying like a new.
No, he's buying like a new like
album,
Michael Jackson like on vinyl.
Yes, he's like, oh, the re-released Billie Jean on vinyl.
He's not like scouring for some like actually fucking indie thing. He's a fucking poser.
Yeah, fucking poser, dude.
Not like us fucking Empire Records as indie people. I mean, as I've said, I'm not that, but you are. And
I am.
You invented Newbury Comics. And
I
you
also
invented
realized
music.
not to bring up my haircut, which is actually kind of crazy that I haven't brought it up this entire pod.
I mean, you've been emanating I got a haircut vibes the whole time.
If you can hear it through the airwaves, then I feel like I kind of have also got AJ's hair, but also the owner of Empire Records. It's like a cross. I got like two.
That movie's not like such a
hitting for you.
It's not like a marker for me. So
okay,
I can't really,
moving on then. Moving on.
Yeah. What does he wear? I mean, we know what he wears.
We know what he wears, like little
Allbirds,
bonobos, little blazers.
The most bonobos person in historyobos.
Yeah, it's like a brown, that like duck maybe colored.
He's just like I like fucking like fabric that's comfortable but like a little bit formal, you know?
Yes,
like,
and then he's wearing like a super nice new varsity bomber jacket.
He's not that store Untuckit, but like he might as well be.
I bet he has a few Untuckits. But like he's not repping for them.
No.
But I think because of his stature, he has
as a shorter man.
As a shorter king. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt today that I wish was a little more untucked. Like it's so
more cropoled.
It's
Here's
so
the thing.
long.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I don't think you should get too cropped. Now that you have the cropped haircut, like you're gonna start looking just like an Urban Outfitters girl. Like if you get too cropped with the shirts, it's like you're just gonna be fully like black seed bagel, like with your big matcha at 1 p.m. Like if like let's not get too croppy.
This shirt is so long.
I don't think it's that long. I think it actually looks good with your hair. I think what's the one thing that's actually very cool about your hair that I will say is that
the one thing.
No, I'm saying one of many things that is cool about your hair is that unlike like the bouffant, like having some more volume on the sides, like draws the eye up in a way that the bouffant made extra like fabric seem too extra. But now the extra fabric seems like it's more intentional. So I think the longer shirt actually works.
Wow, thank you. So you know what
You're
you
so
have taught
welcome.
me is that is kind of about, I think, fabric lengths and
Proportions. Yeah.
Because, you know, I would have gone in, I would have thought when she was
huge
cutting it, I
advocate
was
for
like, oh,
proportions.
is this puffiness on the side going to make me look more feminine? But it weirdly makes me look more masculine
Yeah, exactly.
than my bouffant, I feel, which was like,
Yeah.
some people read, I feel like some older women were just like, oh, fabulous, darling, you look like this 18th century woman. Because it was a
this
little
rockabilly.
Because I was like,
Dickensian.
oh, I'm rockabilly, but then people took it as a little more.
I mean, I don't think, okay, you've always read as like total, the butchest New Yorker in
Yeah.
history, like friendly boots, take a seat.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the thing is I think since I was born this curvy Italian chica.
Right.
Signora, really.
Right. No, I mean, your mom watched a lot of Sophia Loren films when she was pregnant with you. And
Yeah, that's how it
rubbed off in
happened.
the fetus.
That's actually how she got pregnant.
That's the only way your dad could get hard.
On that note, Signora,
This was just an absolute pleasure.
This was a super fun.
Oh, wait, no, hello. Who are you in the
who are
book?
in the book?
We always forget this segment. Okay, there's no one in this book. There's no characters.
Yeah, I know. It's always like, okay, am I this like Jane from Tampa who had a ski accident who downloaded Snapchat?
Yeah,
I mean, like, it's hard. It's kind of like, well, you could say there's his parents. There's also his friend who was like a divorced dad who like wrote a Chicago Reader personal in the 80s. That was kind of a character.
Oh, I did like
I
that
love it,
story
yeah.
a lot.
That
of
was
the
a
guy.
cute-
I did make me nostalgic for like newspaper personals, and like I do, and like, you know, we know that the Lex app is really trying to
Right.
bring that back in a way. I will say he does actually make some good points in this book, to his credit. Like, I think one of the best points was the idea of time, and that like the fact that we are so instant gratification now actually changes like the mechanisms of desire and like makes you less into a person.
Yeah.
When you have this like when you expect responses rapidly, and like the whole thing about like when you used to fill out a newspaper personal and you would like write this ad, and then like you would put like
You have a voicemail box that's
and then,
separate.
And then like a week later, like someone's leaving you a voicemail, and then a week later you're checking the voicemail, and then maybe you're calling some of the people back, and like that drawn out process creates a sense of mystery and uncertainty that is actually like much more exciting, and like primes you to like be more into the person and like be more inquisitive and like sort of go down a journey with someone much more than when you're just like writing a thing and expecting an immediate response and then just like swiping, you know? And so I think there was like, we have lost something there in the immediacy
well,
of
and that is
technology.
why, and again, to cut off just me a tiny bit to plug my business of crispy cruising is that
Which really isn't a thing anymore because we have it. Sorry, pandemic
Sorry,
vibes,
it's a
dude. Sorry, it's a pandemic, dude. Okay.
No.
Sorry, we can't do IRL date anymore. Sorry, dude. Sorry. That's
Anyway,
just how
whatever.
it is. You gotta do it over Zoom.
that my friend Alex and I did start a queer speed dating business to bring stuff back to the IRL universe and get off our phones.
I love that, and it worked.
And it worked. And it's about combining the phone and the IRL.
Right.
And it was like, put your Instagram handle on, meet the person,
Yes.
take the photo of the handle, message later.
And that again is like that is where I will come down, and I will say that like all my relationships like do have some sort of combination of technology and real life, and I think that it is
Exactly.
important to like be a part of a social scene and like go to events and see people and like, you know, do we let's not pretend that phones don't exist. Obviously they are extensions of ourselves. We're attached to them, glued, da 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 da. But
And like a lot, what would happen is people would be like, oh, me and this person actually did message on Tinder. And then it was like catapulted by seeing each other IRL because we're all on our phones and
Yes.
things got lost. So maybe, you know, you message, you know, some quacks and they were like,
Right.
something happened to their cat. And then you're like, oh, they hate me. And then you actually saw them at crispy cruising.
Right, and then it was kind of hot, and then you had a connection. It's just like let everything simmer, have 13 back burners at all
Yes.
times, but like don't get too attached, but like play it cool,
Play
go
it
to
cool.
events,
Don't message. Don't check
get
the
the
emails.
vaccine,
Don't
fire
send
your
a
husband.
Get a husband. Divorce the husband. Take out a real personal ad.
get a landline.
Oh, we never chose who we were in the book.
Okay.
I guess who are we in the book?
Who are you in the book?
Ultimately, I guess, like, sadly, like, I'm half as he is, even though we like roasted him so much. This
No, I
app.
know we're both kind of as easy because we're so brunch. I mean, I do kind of, if we're going to be that, there's that one scene where he references like texting Chelsea Peretti and Nicole, and like maybe I'm more Chelsea because I'm so wearing a weird top. And she's always.
We all want to be Chelsea. She's the queen.
I'm just more saying about like her sort of random ass fashion choices. Although I guess I would say that I maybe have more.
Yeah, I would say
style.
you're more.
I think I'm not so comedian style.
I would say I am more a little bit more. Oh, I don't know. I think we're Aziz's on different days.
Oh, true.
But also, I think maybe I am that divorced man who wrote a personal ad in The Reader in 1985.
Yeah, and got like so many responses and went with the woman who could speak Spanish.
Or is that you? And I'm actually, since I do run a speed dating business, I'm like one of the people he quotes.
Yes. You're like a noted sociologist at the University of Connecticut who's writing a paper. And I'm this guy who wants to date a woman who also speaks French. Thank you.
Done. Wrap that one up. Okay, let's go get barbecue shredded bao noodle Campari.
Let's get lobster mac and cheese slider pizzas.
Yes.
And
Neapolitan St. Louis Detroit style subs.
And send a cool, like weirdly long message, like not too long after you swipe on someone.
Wait 2 minutes.
I would say that this book is, I mean, you don't need to read it. It's the most airport book ever, but
literally,
it is very easy to read.
Yeah, it's just like if you are practicing reading, pick it up.
Yeah.
Even if you're a super huge fan of Aziz, just like watch his stand-up specials. Like this will disappoint you.
Yeah, I agree.
So I give this honestly 0 bows out of 5.
I give it 2 out of 5 phones because I'm like, I liked the ease of reading because I'm kind of like anti-literate, like as a cause, and it's just like I'm reading one page of like fucking Freud or whatever over and over again.
I would have loved it more like because
boring.
I love stories about dating and just like random anecdotes. And if it was that
wish
so
there
much
were-
more and less like graphs.
Yeah, less graphs of stuff I already know. I'm like, thanks. I'm aware that like marriages are like declining in the 70s. Like,
and just like women got jobs.
Yeah,
Thank you for this
heard of it.
history lesson.
Yeah, if it were more like, oh my God, like that book that I got like once at that like thrift store that was like The Diary of 50 Women, and it was like a day in the life of 50.
Yeah, that
how
would have
good
been amazing.
was that book?
Right, if it was a little more also, he said,
If
she
it was a
said.
completely different book, that would have been cool.
He said, she said, and it would be like guys on Tinder would be like 10 interviews of guys, or just like, I mean, it is fun that he shows texts in this.
Yeah.
And it's like, make the whole book, it should have been a graphic novel,
Yeah.
all of text with one joke.
Oh, like, hey ladies, which we love.
Which we love. Okay, so I'm actually going to redo this book.
And just make it like fictional and like only text and emails.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our next book, we're totally switching gears because this book was all about straight people, which also he did call himself in, by the way, and say, I'm not even going to like try to do a book about gay people.
I really appreciated that he set the parameters of sort of the study at the beginning. That was really helpful.
Anyway, we're doing lesbians next week, which is huge because we haven't done a book about lesbians yet. We're doing the Tegan and Sarah memoir.
Boom.
Boom book.
Indie
Book-a-boom.
music, anyone?
Mullets, anyone? Haircuts, anyone?
And and they're sisters who are lesbians?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we can talk about that.
Interesting.
They're twins, if I believe. I actually know nothing. I'm not a fan. I'm so excited to learn.
It's so funny because you're not a fan in a way that's like you're such a like lesbian music aficionado that you're like, yeah, that's like fucking like baby shit.
Well,
to
I think
me.
it's because I'm like sadly old and I'm like of an Ani generation, and they are like,
Oh, right. Because you're spiritually Gen X.
yeah, I'm spiritually Gen X, rising millennial.
Yeah.
Okay, so rockers, see you next week in Toronto.
Rock on. We're going back on tour.
Best.
Celebrity Book Club is presented by Prologue Projects and HeadGum. The show is produced by Meg Murnane, who gives me a total boner, with editorial support from Andrew Parsons and Leon Nafok, who also gives me a man boner, sorry. Engineering by Ferris Monchi, who I got awesome tacos with once. Original theme song by Steve Phillips Horst, who's a total bro and he will be in my wedding. Artwork by Teddy Blanks at Chips NY. Follow us on Twitter at CBC The Pod. Okay, honestly, Twitter is kind of toxic and weird and I did have to take a break, but if you're on it, honestly, dude, like, more power to you. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app, leave us a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about us. I mean, obviously, I know you're probably on an iPhone if you're listening to this, but if you're on Android, awesome, man. Like, that's fucking cool. Like, you're about us.
That was a HeadGum podcast.